Hi, Gordon. Let's take a look at this new set of essays. This one is about pollution. Here's what you wrote. Nowadays, half of the global population, get rid of the already. You don't need it. And it doesn't really work here. So nowadays, half of the global population lives in cosmopolitan is an adjective, so you don't want that. You want a metropolis would probably be a better word here. So let's try that one more time. Nowadays, half of the global population lives in metropolises, and by 2050, 2/3 of the world's people are expected to reside in urban areas. One of this is a wrong word here, effects accompanied by the prevalent phenomenon is the insoluble pollution problem. No, that's the wrong word, which is bound to induce various catastrophic consequences. In this essay, the causes and solutions of the exacerbating issue will be closely investigated. Exacerbating is also not a great word here. I understand that you're trying to use some advanced vocabulary in order to kind of beef up and raise the level of your essay, and that's a great thing to do. Unfortunately, some of these attempts are not really successful. I want to encourage you to do some research on some of these words that you're using. All you have to really do is go into your favorite search engine and see something like, exacerbating in a sentence or exacerbating collocations. And then you'll find different sites and different resources, dictionaries, and so forth that will show you how some of these words are used and what words they create good collocations with, okay? So let's move on. In fact, the acute environmental concerns stem from the continuing urbanization. I get rid of the. It is widely acknowledged that most of the metropolitan areas are advanced regions packed with lots of skyscrapers and commercial zones. However, these buildings employ an inordinate amount of neon light, billboards, serving the sole purpose of advertisement in order to draw potential customers' attention. However, the flip side of this act inevitably sparks light pollution, which poses a threat to the wild species and people's enthusiasm for astronomy. Okay, it's a little strange. I didn't, enthusiasm for astronomy. Anyway, on top of that, the promise of jobs and prosperity, among other factors, pulls people to cities, and the more people live without the S in the cities, the more burdens it causes to the environment. One cogent explanation for this phenomenon is that with the enhanced living standards, citizens consume more consume more under the deep-rooted influence of consumerism. The rising use of non-biodegradable plastic bags, for example, produces noxious gases during incineration. Hence, the huge population and prosperity of large cities takes a heavy toll on the environment. Okay, I kind of feel like it took you a long time to get to your point. I mean, I think that what you ended up saying here about the plastic bags, I thought it was a good example. But first of all, this whole thing about light pollution, I wasn't really a huge fan of. I mean, to say that there's an enthusiasm for astronomy among people is a little bit of an overstatement. And then here is where you got really to, I think, a more appropriate kind of view here. So if you had talked more about this prosperity of the cities and that more people are going there and saying that more people means more cars means more noxious fumes in our environment, more people with more money means more shopping, and this means more plastic bags, which, as you said so aptly, when burned is terrible. Okay, so if you had talked about these things, I think that would have been a better way to develop this, okay? Because you really wrote quite a lot, actually. I mean, look at this. But, you also, it's 165 words, just this paragraph alone. So it's really quite a lot, but make sure that it's not just quantity, but it's also quality of what you're writing, that it's relevant and that it makes sense, okay? So, in view of the alarming deterioration to the environment, no, deterioration of the environment, there are both preventative and corrective measures to alleviate the issue. Nice. Regarding the former, the government could instill a sustainable lifestyle in the young through education. For example, some practical strategies such as bringing your own bag while shopping could be introduced and emphasized in civic education sessions, which raises the environmental protection awareness of students. As for the corrective measures, the authorities, IES, could impose a curb on reducing light emission after 10 p.m. Given that the strong electric signs on streets at late at night is what you want to say, are deemed unnecessary as fewer people notice them. That's where you want to say this. The ban aims at striking a balance between the advertising effects embedded, get rid of it, and environmental consequences caused, get rid of it again. As a result, these measures provide a comprehensive suggestion to eradicate the pollution problem in town. In conclusion, I believe it is firmly believed that with the implementation of both preventative and correction actions, the root cause of the environmental contamination in cities, which is mainly brought by the constant urbanization, get rid of this could be addressed in no time. Okay, I liked your conclusion. That was well done. Problems with pollution are becoming worse and worse. All right. I liked what you did. I liked your solutions paragraph because you explained how these things are solutions. You really went into detail. This is one thing that a lot of people have a hard time with. They end up making this paragraph sound like a list. You didn't do that. You made it sound like a very cohesive paragraph, and that's good. I wasn't really a huge fan of this thing about light pollution. I think that one of the things that really kind of is a big issue for people is air pollution and noise pollution far more than light pollution. I wouldn't say it's probably, the word on the tip of people's tongues when they're thinking about pollution. So I think air pollution, water pollution, those were kind of more important issues rather than light pollution. In any case, that's more of an ideas issue and less to do with, how well written it was. Okay, so good job. Let's see what else you have for us today. Okay, now let's look at car sales in the European countries. This is a stacked bar chart, which tends to confuse a lot of people, but let's see what you did with it. The bar chart illustrates the statistics of vehicle sales in 9 European countries by brand in 2018. Overall trends could be analyzed from 2 perspectives, by country and brand. In terms of the former, of the 9 countries, Hungary had the highest sales, whereas Belgium had the least sales. Regarding the latter, BMW was the most famous brand, while Audi was the least sold. Perfect. With regard to country, Hungary and France ranked first and second in terms of car sales, both with total number of sales over 300,000, which was roughly 3 times of the total purchases in countries with the least cars sold, namely Belgium and Italy. Let's see, France and Hungary, more than 3 times. Good. Okay. The number of sales in Germany, Ireland, Holland, and the UK arranged in a descending order, also between 200. What? Oh, okay, I get it. So how many countries did we say there were? 9, right? So far, you've mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Uh-oh, where's our 9th country? Are you missing a country here? Italy? Yeah, Italy. Where's Italy? Here it is. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I think you missed Poland, from what I can see. If you mentioned Poland in the other paragraph, then you're fine. But right now, it looks like you missed it, and that's going to be a problem. Let's see what happens in the next paragraph. As for brand, BMW, not were, but was the most popular brand, in particular 4 countries, including France, Germany, Ireland, Hungary, sold, you don't need a past perfect here, over 100,000 BMW vehicles, while there were only 2 countries with sales. Over 100,000 for Audi and Ford. Conversely, Audi and BMW had gained the least profit in Belgium. You don't want to talk about profit because we don't know how much these cars cost. So don't talk about profit. We only are talking about number of cars sold, okay? It's very possible that a BMW of the same, the same kind of category costs considerably more than a Ford. I'm just saying for example here. So don't talk about profit here, okay? let's see. So here what you really want to be saying is that conversely, Audi and BMW had the least number of cars sold in Belgium, and Ford was the least popular in Germany, all with sales lower than 10,000. All right, so here's the problem. You missed mentioning a country, Poland. You never mentioned it. So that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a big problem. What you always want to include in these graphs is obviously the 3 car companies, which you mentioned, but also everything on the outside here. So you don't need to mention so much this, absolutely all the categories that we have, and you didn't do that. You missed just one. And that's going to be a huge problem, okay? All you need to do is look at the band descriptors for task 1 to see what happens when you miss a key feature, because that's what this is really. When you miss one of the countries, it's a key feature. At least mention it by name, okay? I liked what you did. I liked that you talked about countries and that you dealt with these numbers. I thought that was a good way to organize it. And then that you talked more specifically about the car companies themselves. I thought that was very smart. That was a good way to organize this. I'm not really a huge fan of the actual information you selected, though. So I liked what you did in this paragraph. You talked about Hungary, you talked about France, you talked about Belgium and Italy, and then you kind of, mashed all of these together. That was a good thing to do. So that was good. Here, I felt like you were kind of all over the place and you didn't really know what to do. So what could you really have done here? First of all, I probably would have mentioned that, take a look at BMW's number. They're all around 100,000 BMW sold, except for Belgium. Okay. And then you could talk about Ford. You don't even have to get into super specifics. Okay. So you could just say that, Ford sold very well in Hungary, in Holland. It sold maybe, what is that, like 10,000 in Germany and Italy, and in the rest of the countries it sold, I don't know, maybe like 80,000. If you look at it, that's kind of where that number is. This, and not even this. But you could say it sold somewhere between 50 and 80,000 cars, and you'd be fine. And then you can just talk about Audi. You don't even need to get into that much level of detail. You could say that Audi was the least popular car. It sold well in Germany and Hungary at about, that looks like definitely over 100,000. But in UK, Belgium, and Italy, it was sold at around maybe around 10,000. And in Belgium, not even that. Okay, so that's kind of information you want to mention. Like I said, you don't have to go into every single detail about Audi, especially if you have adequately talked about Ford and BMW. So, okay, so you're doing some good work here. I'm seeing some improvement, but I want you to also make sure that you incorporate and try to apply all of the things that we're talking about today, okay? Keep up the good work. I'll be waiting to see your next set of essays. So until then, keep writing and good luck.